on October the 30th, Halloween Eve. And welcome to the program in the year of our Lord 2025. Okay, we've got a lot of stuff for you tonight. Let me go ahead and click over here, Murtech on Rumble. All right, this is the video that we're watching tonight, episode 1731. It says upcoming, but as you know, you're actually watching it. So let me go ahead and click on that and close out the live chat. Let me slide down here and click the show more button to expand out the description box. Okay, we have information from X22 report, Dr. Steve Turley, Glenn Beck, and Wendy Bell Radio. But before we get into that, I do have some shout outs to give for Grizzly20, just started following my channel. Tator Tot 1 just started following my channel. So thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in and I hope you enjoy the content. All right. Excuse me. Let's jump over here and we have some comments from, WBS reposted my video 1730. Linda Fossil Man, Debbie BS, and Killface commented on my episode 1730. Debbie BS commented on my extra 515A, 515B, and 515C. So thank you very much, folks, for sharing my video, reposting my video, and your comments. I really enjoy reading your input, and I definitely appreciate your support. So let me give this a thumbs up here. Boom. Okay, and by the way, I do have one of those thumbs up icons right here below the video. This is the video that you're watching, and I have a thumbs up right here. So there we have it. Okay, let me go ahead and get into this with X22 report, his episode 3763B. Trump is using the shutdown for the midterms. Trump is cutting the deep state strings. So let's see what that's all about. Okay, folks, let me do a quick refresh here on Rumble. Okay, let's see if it plays now.
See behind what masters show. Thank you. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, big tech, fake news, the puppet masters. You can see with the government shutdown, they are losing the people of this country. And think about what Trump and the Patriots are doing, and think about what the deep state, what they're doing. The deep state, they're trying to make it seem like the Republicans shut down the government. And they're trying to blame it on the Republicans, but you can see behind the scenes what they're really trying to do is they're trying to basically get the military, the National Guard, ICE, CBP. They want them all to abandon their posts so this way they don't deport the illegals. And they're hoping they can keep the shutdown going long enough that this actually happens because they could see every other method that they have has not worked. And you could see at this point in time, this is why they have no problem making the people suffer in this country. Because remember, the people in this country, they're not their constituents. They want the illegals. They need to keep these people. Trump, I do believe what he's doing, he's using all of this against the deep state, against the Ds. And everyone, I think, realizes, and even CNN and many of the other fake news outlets, they're all out there saying, yes, it's the Democrats' fault. But think about why Trump is really doing this. Yes, he's blaming it on the Ds, but also he's exposing a lot of what they set up. And think about how Trump is now finding money to fund the military, to fund the National Guard, to fund certain parts of the government. And he's also said, listen, If SNAP runs out November 1st, and the D's are out there saying, hey, let these people suffer, we need a little bit of pain, and Trump finds money to fund the SNAP program, do the D's lose these people? Are they going to be looking at Trump going, holy crap, look at this. The D's just left us, that we were going to have no food, nothing. And Trump, he found a way to keep the SNAP program operational. I mean, think about what the D's have done. They have given these people everything, and these people vote for them. Trump now is going to give them something. And are these people now going to switch over to the Republican Party? I'm not saying they're going to be Republican, or when the midterms come up, are they going to say, wait a minute, he's the one that helped us. They didn't help us. They said, let the people suffer. So I do believe Trump and the Patriots, they're using this against the D's. And I think this is all revolves around the midterms. It revolves around the midterms in regards to what Trump needs to do, and it revolves around the midterms in what the D's and the deep state players have to do. But in the end, I do believe Trump and the Patriots, they're going to win every single time. Because again, the deep state players, they don't have the leverage, they don't have the narrative. And every day they keep the government shut down, they're losing. And the people of this country, they see it very, very clearly. And I think everything that Trump does, he's showing the people the truth. And once people see the truth and they experience the truth, then they understand. And I do believe this will all be used against the deep state players later on. And think about it. Trump is going around the world right now making economic deals across the world. And he is basically establishing a new trading system. See, before we had the globalist trading system, the central bankers, the globalists, they ran it. Trump now is establishing a brand new trading system across the world, and the globalist system will no longer exist. And the new trading system consists of tariffs. It consists of economic deals with certain countries. And in the end, these leaders in these countries, they will be beholden to Trump because he made the economic deal with them. And yes, he will make their countries prosper. At the same time, they're making this country, the United States, prosper. So are these people going to go up against Trump? No, they're not. They have full respect for him. And as he does this, think about what he's doing. He's cutting the strings of the deep state players. That is what he's doing as he goes to every single country. And they're no longer beholden to the deep state players. Every step of the way, what Trump is doing, he's dismantling the entire system that the central bankers, the globalists, the deep state players have put into place. And you could see every step of the way the deep state players are becoming weaker and weaker and weaker. And like we said before, it seems that the only thing they have left are two things. Riots, which I do believe they're going to be pushing before the midterms, because again, there's no way they're going to be able to stop what's going to happen during the midterms. I do believe the people are going to wake up and they're going to vote for the Republicans because, once again, the people are going to be using common sense. Plus, I do believe Trump has dismantled a lot of their rigging system, and it's going to make it very, very difficult for them to cheat in the elections. They will try in certain areas, of course, but I think overall, they're going to have a very, very difficult time, and they're not going to be able to get their people into place because once they lose the House, once they lose the Senate, they're in trouble now, but they're in deep trouble when this occurs. And you can see that this is what Trump now is doing. And eventually you're going to see that he will have all the leverage. You see, the name of the game is to weaken the enemy as best as possible and make sure that they have no ammunition that they can use against you. And I do believe this is why Trump is trying to flush them out right now and trying to push them to use their ammunition before all this happens, before we have accountability, before he goes after the Fed, before any of this. Because once you get rid of all of it, they're kind of screwed. So I do believe that he wants them to riot sooner than later, and he wants them to push war sooner or later so we can get these out of the way. And you could see that the deep state players, they're definitely building up the narrative for war. Zelensky's already out there saying that we're probably going to have war for 2 to 3 more years, maybe a little bit longer than that. And you can see the fake news, they're trying to build up the idea that Putin is going to continue the war and not stop it. So I do believe what they're trying to do is they're trying to get this off the ground. But I do believe Trump and the Patriots, they're leading them down this path, and this is all going to be used against them. Actually, it's going to boomerang on the deep state players in the end. And actually, Trump, as the peacemaker, he's going to usher in peace. Because think about it. He's making all these deals across the globe. I think he's already spoken to Putin, and now he's going to be speaking to Xi. So they know that there's going to be economic deals with the United States. Russia's going to have economic deals with the United States. Why would they want to go to war? They wouldn't. So I do believe this is how he's countering a lot of this. Because again, if they already realize, wait, we're going to make this much money, it's going to help our country, we're going to do these things, they will not want war whatsoever. The only people that want war are the criminals, the deep state players. They're the only ones, and the fake news, and yes, the D's in Congress and all the other people, the agencies, they're the ones who want war because they're the criminals. Without the war, everyone can see everything that they have done. So I think every step of the way you could see that the D's, they're being weakened and weakened and weakened because in the end, Trump is going to have all the leverage. This is when you attack your enemy in the end. This is when you can bring them to justice. This is when you can have accountability. You don't hit them when they're strong. You wait. You weaken them. And then when they have nothing left, that's when you go after them. And this is why Trump and the Patriots are going after Gavin Newsom. Because remember, Gavin Newsom is attacking Trump in regards to the ballroom. And they're continually pushing the narrative that he's destroying the White House. No, he's beautifying it. And basically, he's going to make it better than it ever was before. And you have to remember, the entire ballroom is privately funded. No taxpayer is paying for this. Compared to what's happening out in California, where they're building their new Capitol, and it's like $1.1 billion in renovation costs, and they're hiding where all this money is going. I think most of it's being laundered. But RNC Research put this out and said Gavin Newsom, who's very mad that President Trump is building a ballroom at no cost to the taxpayers, has no answer when asked about the secrecy around California's $1.1 billion Capitol renovation. Is that appropriate for the public to not know how much that really costs? Is it? Absolutely not. But again, you have to remember, they are the experts of money laundering. Think about it. The high-speed train, that's being built for how many years? 15 years or so? Anyone see the high-speed train? No. There is no high-speed train because all the money has been laundered. The same thing when all the money was going to help with forest fires, all the money that was going to help with producing water that can be used in the state. Basically, they launder all the money. Now, the other thing that's very interesting is we could see that every day the fake news continually puts out fake information in regards to the illegals. And every day, Homeland Security, Tricia McLaughlin, and the rest, they have to basically debunk the fake news. So this is the latest story, NBC Bay Area. Federal agents arrest an undocumented father at his home in San Jose while he was on his way to work, his family said on Saturday. Well, Tricia McLaughlin corrected NBC News and says, of course, NBC News refuses to tell the American public that this illegal alien from Mexico has a rap sheet that includes lewd acts with a child, battery of a spouse, domestic battery, compensation for prostitution, felony reentry after removal. Sounds like a very nice, upstanding citizen in this country. Oh, by the way, he's not a citizen. He's an illegal and he's a criminal. So, yes, these people will be arrested. These people will be deported. And you can see the fake news, they like to keep these stories up. Here's another story. This is coming from Politico. Man deported to Laos despite court order blocking his removal. Homeland Security responded and said, to the media's chagrin, there was no mistake. This temporary restraining order was not served to ICE until after the criminal illegal alien was removed. So the criminal illegal alien with a rap sheet that includes conviction for assault and unlawful possession of a firearm had no right to be in this country. Following his heinous crime, he lost his green card, and an immigration judge ordered him to be removed in 2006. 20 years later, he tried a Hail Mary attempt to remain in our country by claiming he was a U.S. citizen. We know it's shocking to the media, But criminal illegal aliens lie all the time. Absolutely. And you can see they're continually pushing this fake information, trying to get the people to believe that ICE, CBP, they're going after citizens of this country. They're not. They're going after the illegals. They're going after the criminals. They're not going after the citizens. Now, if there's going to be a citizen of this country that is interfering with CBP or ICE, and they're obstructing what they're trying to do, or they're trying to hit them with a rock or firecracker, or actually fire shots at them, yeah, these people are going to be arrested. It's that simple. And this is what happens with citizens. They're not deported. They're arrested because they went after a law enforcement officer. Just like if there was the local police chasing a murderer and they interfered with that and they stopped the police from getting the murderer. You obstructed justice. So yes, that person would be arrested too. And you can see at this point in time, the stories from the fake news, they are not working whatsoever. Actually, it's making it worse for them.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there. And he's absolutely right. I mean, just step back and think about it. Okay, ICE, what would be their incentive or motivation to actually grab citizens and deport them? I think they have enough information to determine whether a person is an actual citizen of the United States or a legal alien or an illegal alien, especially those that have rap sheets. So, here again, the Democrats want to keep their voting base, even though people that are not citizens should not be voting in those elections. Whatever, they argue, well, they're living in the area. Okay, that's fine. But when you have a U.S. congressman, senator, or representative on the ballot, those people do not need to be voting for people going to Washington, D.C. Let me click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from X22 Report. I'm following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's jump back here and move on. Let me close out the chat box. I've been chatting with Debbie BS and Deb Brandt and M41 Coco. Yeah. Whew, sorry about that. Okay. Let me click the description box again and expand that out. Let's see what Dr. Steve Turley has to say regarding Mamdani's campaign implodes as even Democrats panic and jump ship. Well, that sounds interesting. Even though this is New York, I really don't give a crap about New York, other than a lot of the country seems to follow the stupidity of New York. But let's see what Dr. Steve has to say.
Out inside the Democrat Party. That's not my assessment. That's the growing consensus among Democrat insiders. The woke progressive wing versus the corporate establishment wing. And ground zero of that civil war, none other than New York City. And while it looked originally as if the cultural Marxist progressive wing was going to run away with it there, as it turns out, even liberal Democrats are now starting to have second thoughts. Stick them to the very end of this video, because I'm going to show you what's really going on inside the Democrat Party and what it means for their future as a viable nationwide party as well. Zoran Mamdani. For the last several weeks, polls showed that the ultra-left Democrat socialists would win the New York mayoral race in a landslide. But all of that changed over the last few days when Mamdani came out and said this.
I want to use this moment to speak to the Muslims of New York City. I want to speak to the memory of my aunt. Who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
So, according to Mamdani, the real victims of 9/11 were New York's Muslims, like his aunt, who stopped riding the subway because of the harassment she was receiving from bigoted Islamic New Yorkers. Just one problem. It never happened. Social media investigations found that Mamdani's only actual aunt is named Masuma Mamdani, who lived in Tanzania at the time of the September 11th attacks, not in New York City. She was not even here. So Mamdani had to try to backtrack what he said.
Yes, I was speaking about my aunt. I was speaking about Zerafui, my father's cousin, who sadly passed away a few years ago. And for the takeaway from my more than 10-minute address about Islamophobia in this race and in this city to be the question of my aunt tells you everything about Andrew Cuomo and his inability to reckon with a crisis of his own making.
What do you think about all that?
Okay, so the woman, the aunt that he so emotionally referred to, you saw he could barely even speak. As it turns out, it was actually his father's relative, a distant cousin, not his aunt. And as it turns out, a little investigating found that she also lived in Tanzania during 9/11. So he lied. He made the whole freaking thing up. And he got caught red-handed. And then after he got caught, like some petulant little child, he started accusing all those who caught him of Islamophobia. And then as if things couldn't get worse, Andrew Cuomo absolutely decimated Mamdani for being the fraud that he is in their last debate.
I did things. You have never had a job. You've never accomplished anything. There's no reason to believe you have any merit or qualification for 8.5 million lives. You don't know how to run a government. You don't know how to handle an emergency. And you've literally never proposed a bill on anything that you're not talking about in your campaign. You had the worst attendance record in the assembly, and you gave yourselves the highest raise in the United States of America. You went from $110,000 to $140,000, and then you never showed up for work, and you missed 80% of the votes. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Now, Cuomo, who's running as an independent there, he's since described what he's calling a quiet civil war that's breaking out in the Democrat Party between the extreme left, the Bernie Sanders, AOC, Mamdani left, versus mainstream Democrats.
The truth is there's a quiet civil war going on in the Democratic Party right now. You have an extreme left, radical left, Bernie Sanders, AOC. Mamdani is just the banner carrier for that movement, versus the mainstream moderate Democrats. They now call me moderate. They used to call me liberal. Now I'm a moderate because the whole party shifted. And that's what this election is about. It is that civil war. I believe that far left will destroy the Democratic Party. I believe it will destroy the Democratic Party nationwide if that far left becomes dominant.
Now, what Cuomo's saying there does have some significant data to back it up. We talked about this in our video yesterday. According to a recent NBC poll, 2/3 of Democrats are openly and fully embracing socialism, progressive cultural Marxist socialism. 66% of Democrats, nearly 7 in 10, now view socialism favorably. And again, when asked if they'd support politicians described as Democrat socialists versus moderate Democrats, establishment Democrats, 53% of Democrat voters said they're going with the socialists, compared to only 33% favoring moderates like Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, and for that matter, Andrew Cuomo. But here's where Cuomo's concern comes full circle. While 66% of Democrats embrace socialism, only 26% of independents and 14% of Republicans share that view. So when you add it all up, that's a near 40-point gap between what Democrats want and what the whole rest of America wants. You see, this represents nothing less than an electoral death sentence. It's another example of the Democrats doubling down on what's commonly called the 80-20 doom loop, where they're staking their political positions on issues that appeal at best to 20 or 30% of voters. Again, just 26% of independents and 14% of Republicans share what the vast majority of Democrats, their affinity, as it were, for progressive socialism. I don't quite know who those 14% of Republicans are, but regardless, Cuomo is right that what Mamdani represents is rejected by an overwhelming supermajority in the nation. And Cuomo is right to be concerned about the political fallout from that, because it inevitably, this 80-20 doom loop inevitably results in a process known as de-alignment, which is a perpetual self-propelling dynamic where the more the Democrats double down on issues that alienate them from the vast majority of voters, the more voters defect from the Democrats and align themselves with the Republicans or quite possibly with a viable third party. And again, this isn't theory. It's already happening, particularly with the working class and Latino vote. The white working class in particular defected en masse away from Hillary Clinton's Democrat Party back in 2016 because when they went to her website, they found links on her homepage for women's issues. They found links for black issues. They found links for Hispanic issues, LGBT issues, but not a single link for white working class issues, not one. Whereas when they went to Trump's website, the entire thing was for the working class, both white and non-white, promising to seal the border, to bring manufacturing jobs back home, to protect our culture, customs, and traditions rather than denigrate them as racist and bigoted and phobic and the like. And so that resonated particularly with white working class voters in 2016, 2020, and then increasingly with non-white working class voters in 2024, most particularly Latinos, and even more particularly Latino men, who Trump won by over 10 points. Now, all that said, I get it. I get the economic frustrations that so many of us have each and every day. I mean, we're all sick of watching our paycheck get devoured by inflation while everything costs 30% more than it did 3 years ago. And then you think about all of these side hustles that promise to help us out, make us some extra money, but then we're required to deliver food at midnight or drive around strangers just to make an extra few $100. We're all feeling that. We're all tired of that. But you're not going to believe what I've discovered. This is absolutely amazing. There's a $2.7 billion digital arbitrage opportunity that's absolutely exploding. And ordinary people like you and me are quietly banking, I kid you not, like $500, $1,000, even $3,000 a week to pay off debt, build emergency funds, and finally get ahead, all without ever leaving our homes. Did I get your attention? Well, I'm talking about the online book arbitrage revolution. I haven't even heard of that up until about a couple of weeks ago. But gang, this is the answer to the financial squeeze you're feeling right now. Now imagine replacing that soul-crushing...
Okay, he's actually doing a commercial here, so let me get past that.
So click demanding 20 nearly point to register, and let's thrive together in the golden age today. The latest Quinnipiac poll shows Mamdani's once commanding 20-point lead over Cuomo has been cut in half to just 10 points. Among Hispanic voters, Cuomo's recovered from a 30-point deficit to nearly even, and he now leads independents by 10 points. A Suffolk poll showing the exact same thing. Cuomo's cut Mamdani's lead in half in just the last week. But that said, we have to understand what's ultimately carrying Mamdani here. And it's a combination of two dynamics. One that's completely specific to the left, and the other that's redefining politics as a whole, both in our nation and around the world. So the first, the one that's specific to the left, is a trend known as post-Americanism. And so politically, the way this is working out is that the left versus right dynamic, the left versus right divide, is being replaced by an American versus post-American divide. All right, so those who love our nation are increasingly being pitted against those who hate it. It's about those who want to protect our citizens versus those who actually want to protect non-citizens and illegal migrants. Those who love Christianity versus those who love Islam, those who see a church as a symbol of America versus those who see a mosque as a symbol of post-America, right? It's about those who cherish our laws and institutions and those who want to destroy them and tear them down, those who believe our culture is good versus those who believe it's essentially racist. That's at least in part what Mamdani represents. He's like his Chicago mayoral counterpart, Brandon Johnson, who's fully post-American. He wants to help build something very different than what was envisioned by our founding fathers. But that's only half of it. You see, up until this point, post-Americanism has been successfully co-opted by corporate establishment Democrats. So like what we've seen with their embracing of the pro-Palestinian progressives, establishment Democrats have largely, they've made their peace with their cultural Marxist counterparts. So that's why New York Governor Hochul and House Minority Leader Jeffries have both endorsed Mamdani. However, and this is key, and you may have noticed this, Mamdani is not reciprocating. He is not endorsed. In fact, he's refused to endorse Governor Hochul. And we're seeing that happen more and more. The progressive wing of the Democrat Party is starting to declare its independence from the establishment wing. And in doing so, they're tapping into the second dynamic that's operative here, and that's the worldwide dynamic of populism, and particularly economic populism. So one of the major reasons why Mamdani is getting so much support is precisely because he's not part of the Democrat establishment. He's from the outside, and more Democrat voters, more and more voters on both the left and the right, they've just completely lost confidence in the establishment as a whole, both establishment Republicans and establishment Democrats. So Mamdani represents a post-Americanism that's broken free from the Democrat establishment and embracing the growing populist paradigm that's at war with the establishment. That is what did Cuomo call it, the soft civil war that's going on right now inside the Democrat Party. Now, the good news, as we're finding happening right now in Europe, is that the populist left always ends up losing to the populist right. And that's because the populist left is almost solely an economic populism. It's still woke, which is a massive turnoff even for voters on the left. Whereas the populist right is able to pivot left on economics while pivoting right on culture. They embrace many of the measures that economic populism advocates. Even Bernie Sanders had to admit that more of what he advocated economically has been instituted by Trump, pro-union, pro-tariff policies and the like, than has Democrats. So they're able to pivot left on economics, but without the ridiculous and, in this case, anti-American wokeness. They're able to pivot right on culture and defend culture, custom, tradition. So that's how I see things playing out here in the end. In the end, populism wins. Populism is the wave of the future. It's our job to make sure that its anti-American outworking ends up dying in New York.
All right, there you have it, folks. Great information. I always like Dr. Steve's information. Let me click on this Rumble link and show you.
Heard of that up until about a couple of.
Let me show you that this video does come from Dr. Steve Turley. I am following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's jump back here and see what Glenn Beck has to say. Glenn Beck always has good stuff too. Bill Gates flipped on climate change. Here's why. Okay, let's take a listen to this and find out why.
So we've witnessed an amazing change of heart and a change of mind. Let me just play Bill Gates and what he is saying as he's getting ready for, what is it, COP26? COP30? I don't know what COP we're up to, but here he is. Listen.
Climate is a super important problem. There's enough innovation here to avoid super bad outcomes. We won't achieve our best goal, the 1.5 or even the 2 degrees. And as we go about trying to minimize that, we have to frame it in terms of overall human welfare, not just everything should be solely for climate. I'd say...
Can we stop?
Innovative thinking.
Wow, that is exactly what we have been saying the whole time. You can't make it all about the planet and nothing else. You cannot do things that will harm humankind to save the planet. And we will innovate our way out of this. Stop trying to degrowth everything. But that wasn't Bill Gates. That wasn't what he was saying. No. This is new for him now. All right, go ahead. Next.
I'd say, wasn't the goal here to improve human lives? And shouldn't we, in our awareness of how little generosity there is to help, measure, should we get them a measles vaccine or should we do some climate related activity? And if we stop funding all vaccines and that, saved you 0.1 degree, would that be a smart trade-off?
He's one guy who I think has not had enough vaccines. I'd like to get him as many vaccines as he could possibly ever need. This is the narrative flipping here. Okay? The man who told us the sky was falling now says, the sun might stay up after all. I don't know. No, and if you don't think he was the guy who's saying the sky is falling, he's the guy who wants back spraying dust into the stratosphere. Okay? He built his reputation as one of the guardians of the civilization end times. He's now saying, relax, we're going to live. Okay? Relax. We need to focus on some other things. This is Bill Gates today? Could we rewind just a bit? Because it was Bill Gates just a few years ago. He was all in on the idea that climate change might end civilization. In 2021, he wrote a book, How to Avoid a Climate Disaster. And he said we have to get to zero emissions. Remember? We need a breakthrough technology in clean steel and cement and power and innovation. It's the only way we can get to net zero. Now he's saying we're never going to get there. No kidding. Really? But he backed at that time research into what is called solar geoengineering. And I remember talking about it at the time going, can we not follow Bill Gates on this? His idea was we're going to put particles or dust into the stratosphere, and it's going to reflect sunlight. And so all the sunlight won't actually hit the planet, and so it will cool the planet.
Would that be chemtrails? I think it is.
Now, if that doesn't sound like a crazy-ass idea, if that doesn't sound like maybe something that you only do if the whole world is going to die if you don't do it, what is? By the way, this was funded in part by the Gates Foundation. Now, fast forward to today. Climate change is serious, but it's really only going to hit the world's poorest. Oh. Only the poorest. Okay. Yeah, but it's not going to cause humanity's demise. I thought we only had, two more years every 2 years. They say, we only have 2 more years to stop this or we're all going to die. He says that's a distraction. Really? Where were you? Where were you, Bill, when they were destroying careers? When they were saying climate deniers, which you now are, because you're saying exactly what I have said the entire time. You're now a climate denier. Where were you? Where were you with this point of view when climate deniers, we were told that maybe we should round them up and put them in jail? No, we need a strategic pivot. Invest in vaccines. You know what? No more. Can we please, for the love of Pete, have some common sense? Can we please keep Bill Gates away from vaccines? Poverty reduction, human welfare, adaptation, rather than pouring every dollar we have into emission targets, and temperature tab hopes. Because they're not going to happen. So what changed? This is the important part of this story. Why? Why did he change all of a sudden? Now, I've got a couple of theories here. He himself, the Grinch, wrote, "From the standpoint of improving lives, using more energy is a good thing." Wait, what? Using more energy is a good thing? I thought that was going to kill all of us. That's why you and all of your cronies, all of your buddies, all of the people that are running all the banks said you were not going to make loans for anybody who is building anything but solar power. And now you're like, we got to stay away from solar power. It's not ready. Really? Well, energy is so closely correlated with economic growth. No. Just pause for a second. Lord, please make me a more peaceful man. I know it's Bill Gates, but please soften my heart. We live in a world that is racing towards AI, quantum computing, which I believe Bill Gates is leading the way on quantum computing. Massive data centers, which I believe he is running headlong into. Did I mention AI? Guess who his partner is? ChatGPT. Now, this is all huge infrastructure that eats all kinds of energy, fossil, renewable. If he could pull the sun down and actually put it into a little box so it could run his server farm only and we'd all freeze to death, believe me, he'd be for it. The more the digital future looms in front of us, the more it costs to sustain. Okay. So did he just suddenly, this genius of the world, did he just suddenly realize, hey, I've been wrong this whole time, and all those people I called climate deniers were right? There's a better way to go about this. Maybe we shouldn't have scared every little person, every child from a future. Maybe we shouldn't have been teaching them, you don't have a future, you're all going to die in a fiery flood.
Okay, I'm going to pause that there. Once in a while, Glenn Beck does get a little emotional, and this is, I believe, one of those times. Now, I'm like 8 minutes into this 13, almost 14-minute video, so I'm going to move on. If you want to watch more of this, by all means, the link is in the description box below. But let me show you that this video does come from Glenn Beck. I am subscribed to his channel, and I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here. And folks, just like this video with Glenn Beck and X22 report, if you want to see more of that video, the link is right here. Now I'm going to share a bit of information from Wendy Bell Radio. This is a 3-hour video. I'm going to include this video in my daily news wrap-up. So you'll get to watch all of it if you want to. If you want to come back at 9:30 this evening when I start my daily news wrap-up, this video will be included in that. But right now, Wendy Bell Radio, oh snap, I'm going to play a segment from that. We're going to start out just shortly after she gives the Pledge of Allegiance. So here we go.
How about that? You like that sound? Honest news, truth, data, transparency from people who would never dream of lying to you because we are so freaking tired of it. And so you know what? I want to thank all of the media out there. I want to thank all of the politicians. From we here at the Wendy Bell Radio Network, thank you for giving us an avenue to set ourselves apart from all of you. People are tired of the lies. WendyBellRadio.com is where you get it. I hope you follow along on the live video here, okay? We live stream the whole thing. And we welcome you to join us for some common sense conservative values. It's just not complicated. And that's how we see the world, and I think you're going to appreciate that. We appreciate you, so welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. You know, the shutdown nonsense, which is all so predictable and it was all so preventable, takes us back several weeks now. A month. More than a month. We've been watching this dog and pony show. And I can tell you, as real people out there begin to have real problems, because the people in government long ago stopped giving a fat rip about us. It's going to get real and it's going to get ugly. And that is exactly what Chuck Schumer and the Democratic Party needs. They need civil war. They need people on the brink of not getting money to eat from the federal government, which, by the way, you guys, we need to have a robust conversation about why in the greatest place on planet Earth, there are 42 million Americans who are waiting for money from the federal government in order to eat. They are going to go haywire. You see it already on TikTok. People are like, oh yeah, if I don't get my money, well then I'm going to go. I have audio for you guys coming up in the show of a woman who literally has just robbed a supermarket blind in her genuine knockoff Coach handbag, lifts out an entire smorgasbord of dinner, including, if I'm not mistaken, lamb chops for her family that she has stolen from the grocery store. They say that is what they are going to do.
It was short ribs.
Short ribs. Beg your pardon. Short ribs. And she pulled out multiple packages. Proudly, I am entitled. This is mine. I can steal from billionaires. They have enough. See, we have a fundamental problem baked into this country right now, and it's baked in by the Democratic Party. This is the party that doesn't look at people as vessels of creation, as avenues of exploration, development, dreaming, potential, anything. They look at them as victims. Victims that they can use and tell, of course, how disenfranchised they are, how the deck is stacked against you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the United States of America in the year 2025. There is not anything any of you can do or cannot do based on your gender, based on your race. You are limited by how much you're willing to get off your ass to go do it. Look, there are programs in this country that we believe in that have been so wholly manipulated. They've been completely co-opted, much like the Democratic Party. They have been robbed blind, and then there's some calamitous reason that we've got, hurry, we need more money. Don't ask where it's going, like the Capitol complex in California, right, which is now $1.1 billion. To do what? What the hell are you doing? Right? See, on the other side, you have a president in Donald Trump and a cabinet of able-bodied doers and achievers and extraordinarily wealthy people. Not because they were lucky, not because they were born into it. They had to work their butts off. And they see the value of hard work. You want to know why Section 8 housing is always slummy? Because the people who live there don't have skin in the game.
Yep.
They're not paying off the furnace. They're not paying down a mortgage. So they have no intrinsic value, no connection to it. If you give people money to eat every single week and it continues in perpetuity, right? And when it's in danger of running out, you can point fingers at other people. The gravy train continues. We need to have a conversation, ladies and gentlemen. That's what this government right now is trying to do. I believe the Republican Party is trying to do. Open the government. Let's get stuff done.
Yes.
Let's figure out the finances before we sit down and we figure out what we're going to do to right the hideous, obnoxious, and predictable wrong called the Affordable Care Act. Do you not see that everything they touch turns to complete garbage? And somehow, magically, unlike Trump's ballroom, you're left footing the bill. I want you to hear Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer needs people to be looting. He needs them to go to Walmart. He needs them to go to Dollar General. He needs people to be outraged, and go loot and go steal and rob places blind. And he needs security in these places to clash with these so we can have a full-on street-level civil war. It's a great cover for people who realize that their party is dead. The Democratic Party you are watching every single day is dead, robbed blind. This is Chuck Schumer in a matter of moments trying to get some street cred with the progressives that are going to take his job. And he drops the F word. Okay? He drops the F word and he says BS. You guys, I'm no prude, but do we have no class in this country anymore? Do we not have leaders with decorum, who have dignity, who act on high levels with morality and with purpose? No, we don't. We have a tantrum toddler, Chuck Schumer, with his fists as he's trying desperately to convince the progressives, don't take my spot. No. Listen to this garbage.
On Saturday, for the first time in American history, a vicious, heartless president is cutting off food stamps to hungry children, elderly who can't afford enough food to feed themselves, veterans who are down on their luck, all because he wants to use them as hostages so that Democrats will stop fighting for people's health care. We can do both. Provide better health care and provide SNAP benefits to the tens of millions who need it.
Well, why haven't you then? Why haven't you then? We can do it. Oh, all we need is $1.5 trillion to do it. Yeah, and then we'll tell you that we did it. What a lying sack of poopy.
This president is a liar. He says there's no money to provide food stamps because of the shutdown. That's bull. His own agriculture department said there's plenty of money. Every president during shutdowns has provided the money that's needed, even Trump in his first term. He is bludgeoning the American people, using the most innocent of victims to try and go along with his cruel shutdown, which takes away health care from millions of Americans. He is the most vindictive politician America has ever seen.
With his cruel shutdown, listen, you corkbiter, the Democrats are the ones that are not voting to pass the continuing resolution to continue funding these programs in the government, okay? But it's him that's shutting it down? Folks, right here, that's a prime example of how they just lie with a straight face, a bold-faced lie.
And the most heartless man America has ever seen in the presidency. We're fighting him every step of the way.
What do you guys get from Donald Trump that's heartless? Was it the flagpoles and the beautiful 100-foot flags he put up on either side of the White House? Was that heartless? Going after and finding the lost children that were trafficked through this country during Joe Biden's open door border. Do you think is that heartless? Donald Trump ordering the strikes on narco terrorists trying to poison our country and murder our sons and daughters. Is that a heartless, vindictive man? A man who believes in life. A man who believes most in God. Heartless, vindictive, cruel, who wants to starve you. It's so poorly executed, and Chuck Schumer is such an abject failure as a C-rate actor. It is insulting to your intelligence, and do know that many of the people who rely on SNAP A lot of the people who are watching the clock run out, a lot of the folks in the air traffic control towers who are working so that the machinations of travel don't grind to a halt, because if that happens in America, the whole world shuts down. Those people know damn well what's going on. And it took one vote, 14 votes ago, for this never to happen. They need you. Really confused. But it's very clear. And it's very clear to the TikTokers you're about to hear after this short break. We're going to rob stores blind. And there ain't nothing you're going to do to stop us.
Okay, so let's get to that. We're going to get past our commercials here. Her station break. She'll be back here about the 23-minute mark.
Program. You know what?
Here we go.
You know, it's magic when I don't get my SNAP benefits and I just then go steal what I need to eat from the store. Can you believe? Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. Look, I was a righteous little thief when I was a younger girl. I was really bad at it, though, and I got caught. And then I got arrested at Sears. And then, you know, my life changed path. It's amazing how green stretch pants can absolutely put you on the straight and narrow. Anywho, you've got people out there who believe, you know what, other people have more than I do, and that's not fair. So if we all lived in this, everybody has the same amount utopia, you know, I can do my part now and just take from you. Isn't that kind of the mindset of basic criminality? I don't want to do the time to work hard for something. I'm going to go do something to take it away from somebody else. I mean, that's the whole point of it. Yes. And then what did we see during COVID? We saw all of the blue state governors and mayors go soft on criminals. And we were like, wait, what? You realize that you are completely contradicting every basic tenet of good parenthood in this country. You don't have to be a conservative to teach your kid, thou shalt not steal. Don't do it, right? And then the Democrats are like, you know what? Look, we get it. If it's under $950, just, you know, put it on your taxes. Just say theft or whatever. What? TikTokers now, how dare you take away my food stamps? Did you guys see the study that showed recipients of SNAP benefits at the grocery store, on average, spend 20% more than those of us who receive no government assistance? Isn't that interesting? Totally predictable. It's like not having skin in the game, Section 8. TikToker number 1, he's like, look, I'm going to help anybody. This is a toxic liberal dude, white guy. He's like, look, if you want to loot because you need to feed your family, I'll hold down that security guard. Not so sure you want to say that.
Walmart allegedly took notice of the No Snitch November. They will be adding security guards to in-store locations. So No Snitch November just became Help People Steal November. It just became Hold Security Back November. It just became Help People Live November. People deserve to eat. I don't give a f*** about Walmart's profit margins. I personally will hold back a security guard. I will fight back a security guard if they try to stop someone from stealing food they need to f***ing live. You should too.
Wow. What a hero. What a warrior of the 21st century. I will muscle a security guard so you can rob from a store. That's fantastic. What a great idea. What a guy. Right? I mean, like, are you out of your mind? No, this is the culture. This is what happens when you watch CNN and MSNBC and you have a subscription to the New York Times, which a few of my triggered neighbors do. You get this story all the time about these inequities. The system is stacked against all of these poor people. Go ahead and steal. I get it, honey. I'm not watching. You go ahead. You walk on out there. What? How about this woman? She's the one rooting around in her purse, if I'm not mistaken. She's like, woo, gets in her car, turns on who records themselves showing their bounty from shoplifting. Well, this woman.
Hi, you guys. I'm out of the store. So they wanted $7 for this. Mind you, I don't have food stamps anymore. They cut me off. So I only had $22 left in food stamps. So this is what I stole. Okay, they wanted $9 for this. I said, oh, I don't got $9. Then they wanted $2 for this. They wanted, sorry, it's all up because it's been in my purse. $7 for this. I'm making some stuffed salmon today. These are needed. I'm not paying $7 for that. Okay, let me show you the most important thing to me. Short ribs. Take off the label so that you don't beep. Get your meat. How many do you think that I got? How many short ribs is that?
That's a lot. But the good news is she's got her fake nails all nicely done. You know, I love the priorities. I can feed my 3 children, or I can go get my nails done. Really? And then there's this genius who says, and this is a young guy, stealing from billionaires, it's never wrong. Never.
In light of the government cutting SNAP benefits November 1st, I want to remind everybody that stealing is never wrong. Stealing from multi-billion-dollar businesses is always okay, if not encouraged, right? 5-finger discount. It's the best discount you could ever get. 5-finger discount.
If you were a parent and somebody saw your child and sent that video to you, there is no way my sons would escape my grasp. No way. Are you out of your mind? You disrespect me? You disrespect this family? You disrespect this country? How dare you? The amount of shame I would heap would be, let's just say, lugubriously stunning. So this is the mentality in our country today. You know what? And this president and a lot of these executive orders that he has made, that he has written, that he has signed, are specifically to reduce this idea that if you don't have it, you don't want to work for it, just go take it. He's like, no, we're going to get back to civilization. We're going to have a merit-based society where you have to freaking show up. When we come back on the Wendy Bell Radio program, Democrats, they're looking for an...
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause that here. Let me jump on the Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Wendy Bell. All right, I am following her channel. I've given her a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, here we go. And again, I'm like 16 and a half minutes. Well, actually, I'm like 29 and a half minutes into this video here. But I will be sharing this video in my daily news wrap-up. Let me come back here to my description box and the layout of the program for tonight. Again, folks, a reminder that all these videos that I share with you are videos that come directly from the producers, okay? I've got the links to the videos and also a link to the producer's channel if you want to go check out more information that they have. Okay, let's check out the chats here. And let's copy this chat in to a comment because, as we all know, when the video live stream is over, the live chats just kind of evaporate into hyperspace. Okay, I want to make sure I got it all here. Yeah, there's a couple more here that I need to get. There we go. Boom. Okay. From M41 Coco. Let me get down there. And this is, folks, this is how you create comments. You just kind of write stuff in this comment box, all right? And then you click the comment button, and then it turns kind of green and then fades away. Watch this. Oh, man, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So go ahead and give me your thoughts here in the comment box. Let me do a quick refresh here. And so go ahead and give. And it looks like I've had 130 people watch this so far. I've got 24 people watching right now, and I've got 9 thumbs up. So, you know, if I could get about 15 of you to slide down here and give me a thumbs up, I would greatly appreciate it. Okay, coming back over here to Murtech.com, and the link to Murtech.com is in the description box. I do have over 55 no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth videos here. I just don't have time to share all of them with you, but I will share some more great information with you, as I mentioned earlier, in my daily news wrap-up starting about 9:30. So go ahead and take a break, grab a cup of coffee and a donut, or a sandwich and a soft drink, and give me time to make sure my playlist is updated and get Rumble all set up for you. And we'll come back here and start that daily news wrap up. But let me go ahead and give you some quick information from crypto.com. I think you'll appreciate this.
Let's be clear, cryptocurrency is no longer emerging, it's here. And this latest move cements that reality in the biggest way yet. Trump Media Group just inked a massive $6.4 billion deal with Crypto.com, the world's top crypto platform.
They're teaming up to scoop up $6.4 billion in CRO, the powerhouse token that fuels fast, low-fee DeFi, staking rewards, and real-world perks like cashback on your spends to launch America's first CRO treasury. When it's done, this new company will be the biggest CRO holder out there.
Want in on the action? Head to Crypto.com today and grab some CRO. Let's make crypto great again.
So folks, thank you so much for spending your time with me this evening. I greatly appreciate that. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless.